While reading NCERT, you see how a topic in NCERT is introduced. Either it may be by story, by history, by example, or anecdote.
You will get to know from each other's experiences that what are the good points, what are the bad points, what are the points where everyone is writing. So you won't get any extra marks for them. What are some of the unique points? They've never really gone into reading NCERT at this level. जहाँ we've given enough importance to even the intro. किसने ऐसे इंट्रो पढ़ा होगा यार स्कूल में? कोई नहीं पढ़ता. UPSC treats NCERT as the lowest common denominator, and it wants everyone to have gone through that. Your end game has to be these notes which are concise enough for you to keep going through. Now, any question with respect to note making, the answer is that you start from wherever you start. End game ye. We'll do just a simple small exercise, 30 seconds, not more. Just clasp your hand together, okay? And ऐसे करके बैठना, okay? I'll tell what right brain and left brain is. Left brain are those people who are more analytical. They work with structures and formats. Right brain people are more intuitive, more visual learners. They work on intuition very highly, and they're more creative. Predominantly, we are both mix of right and left brain. But a quick way and a fun way to find out कि आप किस तरफ लीन करते हो is कि जो आपने ऐसे हाथ जोड़े होंगे ना, मलाए होंगे ना, आप देखना आपका कौन सा thumb सबसे ऊपर है. Right brain people have their left thumb on top, and left brain people have their right thumb on top. It's by some scientific research. I just got to know it today, so I thought I'll share with everyone. Okay, so that was a fun thing to begin with and hopefully to break the ice. Today, the idea, and I would request everyone to put their videos on. Today, the session will be a very small session, maximum 45 minutes. The idea is that you all know that NCERT padhni hoti hai. I'm audible, right? For everyone.
You are
Whoever,
audible. You are
I'm
audible.
audible, right? Whoever is not able to hear me out, there's some issue with your laptop settings, please check on that. Okay, and everyone be on mute. Okay. So now all of us know that NCERTs are important. All of us have heard the same from rankers. दो चीजें जो every ranker बोलता है, NCERTs and PYQs. Yet most of us fail to master the NCERTs in the first 2 months of our preparation. So my guess is most of you guys are UPSC 2025 and beyond here. Correct? Now, in this webinar, what Ranadheer Sir and I are going to show is how do you test yourself right now? That how good you are with your NCERT basic readings. Okay. And then we are going to show you things exactly which are lifted from NCERT, even from the mains perspective. So not just for basic understanding, not just for PYQs, but from a mains perspective, how do you right now attempt an answer and get it better? So that's the core of this webinar. Okay. But before we go there, let's address the elephant in the room. We all know NCERTs are important, yet we skip them. You guys know about these two images, right? Tell me, the left one is from one of the Amar Chitrakatha comics. This is Ashoka after his Kalinga War, when he supposedly converted to Buddhism after seeing such a massacre, right? So NCERTs from the time that we remember from our school days, we remember these trivial, simple things which are in the NCERT. And we think that ye to yaad hi hai. Can anyone guess what's the right side? The image on the right side, what is that? Guys, just key in your answers and be specific. Ayush, you got it right. This is Bhimbetka painting. Okay, cave paintings, specifically Bhimbetka. So from our earlier days, from our school days, we remember basic stuff from NCERT. So we assume that UPSC, an exam which has such a small entry margin, will ask you all the advanced stuff. So कोई point नहीं NCERT पे ज़्यादा deliberate करने का. All the rankers say these things because it's a nice thing to say, because for the average students, they should understand and read NCERTs, and then they can go to advanced text like whatever, Lakshmikant or any value-added notes. But ऐसा नहीं है. But these are the reasons why we end up missing NCERTs. And because it's not the case, to even start the webinar, I'll tell you this. If you guys who've gone through, पहले तो बताओ पॉलिटी की NCERT किस किसने अभी तक पढ़ ली है? How many of you guys have gone through at least basic reading? Ranadheer, you want to come in?
Yeah,
So,
I want to ask few questions. Like, how many? Just raise your hand in this Zoom. Okay, like how many of you have never written any answer till now in UPSC?
you got the question right, everyone? How many of you have not even attempted a single answer in your UPSC preparation?
So there are lots of people, right?
Okay.
So that's great because this session is for you people only. And how many of you struggle to write any answer? If at all, some people have started writing answer. How many of you struggle to write an answer in UPSC? Please raise your hands now.
Guys, don't raise your hand, just put on the chat because hand raise will. Please raise down the hands on the video, but just put it on the chat because
Put
otherwise.
it in the chat. Yes or no.
Put on the chat.
Yeah, raising hands, creating some sort of distress.
Yeah.
Fine. So there are lots of people actually. So yeah, so then that itself is the success of this webinar right now, because we want to address you people only who are unable to write answer or who didn't even write the answer or is struggling to write the answer. So yes, sir, you can continue.
Okay, so here's the thing. Those two questions, we knew that majority of you would not have been able to write the answer. Tell me how many of you have completed the secularism wala portion in Indian polity, because we want to brainstorm this question with you right now. Okay, great. Piyush, Muskan, Shiksha. Okay, can you attempt this question? What can France learn from the Indian constitutional approach to secularism? If I were to, let's make it simple. If I were to ask you to attempt this question in group, what are the pointers which come to your mind? Ekdam se.
Fast. You can make it fast. Within 15-20 seconds, you can.
15 seconds fast, like very fast. Positive secularism. Okay, Ranadheer, please read the chat. By the way,
Yes.
Ranadheer sir, I hope you all know that he was full-time mentor of Animesh Pradhan, who was a working student. He was working at IOCL, and these are the exercises we take in the group when you join our UAP program. So I'm just giving you a glimpse of what happens. Great, awesome, and it's a great bunch of students we have. हिंदी में क्वेश्चन ये है कि फ्रांस इंडिया से क्या सीख सकता है कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल हमारी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल अप्रोच जो है सेक्युलरिज्म के मामले में. ठीक है.
Vanshika says not deciding the religion of state. Okay.
Okay. Do we have enough, Ranadheer? You've gone through enough
Yeah,
stuff?
yeah, it's enough. It's enough.
Okay.
So thing is, like, yeah, many students are writing one point, and the most common point is fans has a different kind of, religious tolerance, and India has different kind of religious tolerance. So most of people are focusing on that part only. But yeah, that's what. So that means with the basic knowledge what we have now, we can write 1 or 2 points, or it max 3 points in this answer. But if you go back to NCERT, and if you look at the chapter once again, I'll tell how to read NCERT, so that will explain you much more like how to extract from NCERT. So
I have those two. I have these two snapshots from the NCERT where this question was picked up by UPSC. So tell the students how should they have gone through.
I will take 5 minutes to explain to you. So bear with me.
Yeah.
And this is the most like successful or practical approach to NCERT. Okay. So as Rohit sir already told, and many rankers also say that NCERT is very, very important. But most of the people fail to tell how to approach NCERT. So there are two things which are important in NCERT, which are explicitly and implicitly mentioned there. Okay. The content part is explicitly mentioned there. So if you see something, content is obviously present there. So that's what the first thing which everyone takes. The second thing which I want you to take is the one which no one looks into. That is the part where there are 3 things which you have to do. One thing is, what is NCERT actually? If someone asks me what is the UPSC answer, mains answer, then what I say is look at the NCERT. NCERT is a perfect specimen for a good answer in UPSC. So what UPSC expects us is like an answer in what is NCERT mentioned in chapter. Okay, I'll explain you much more detail what happens. See, while reading NCERT, you see how a topic in NCERT is introduced. Either it may be by story, by history, by example, or anecdote. So you have to see how NCERT a topic is introduced. For example, the topic of judiciary. See how it is introduced in this NCERT, and see how introduction and body part is linked together. Okay, so there is no break from introduction to body. Somewhere introduction is linked to the body. And again, see how examples are incorporated to the body, how pictures are being incorporated to the body part. and then see how it is being concluded and what many angles have been covered particular topic. So all these things are an implicit things which we generally ignore because mostly we take the content part from NCERT and we make a note of it. So we take content part from NCERT and we generally ignore the rest part. But thing is how to learn answer writing. So the best example is NCERT itself. Look at how introduction, body, conclusion has been demarcated properly in NCERT. See how all this stuff, examples, diagrams, and the different angles, different parameters of a question have been topic have been included in topic that has to be looked into. Now, after reading NCERT, so if you have observed all this stuff, okay, you have done all this stuff, and then what you have to do? In the morning, if you have taken 2 hours to read this chapter, night before going to sleep, you have to write a summary of particular chapter which you have read in NCERT. So just by reading is not sufficient. You have to also write a summary of this chapter before you sleep. There are 3 things which happens with writing summary. First thing is when you read something because you have to write later on, you will automatically read it well. Because in the mind, you have already said that I have to write it later on. So if you have to write something later on, automatically your reading becomes very good. Second thing, what happens with this is you will know how much you are able to retain. Okay, so if you're unable to remember anything, that means you can understand by yourself that something is wrong with my reading itself. So the next chapter, next chapter, you will read it differently. And third thing which happens is the understanding. You will know whether how much I'm able to understand these things. Because if you are unable to write properly, that means you didn't understand. Whereas if you are able to write well, that means you understood well. So by writing the summaries, by giving a gap, okay, at least mornings, 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock, if you read this chapter, and at the night, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, that means there is a 10 to 12 hours gap. Within 10 to 12 hours gap, if you're able to write proper, that means you're able to retain well, you have understood well. That's what we want. And once you have done this practice of at least the summary should be around 100 to 150 words, not more than that. And if summary extends more than that, for example, that's also a technique there. If summary goes around for 250 words, then take a pencil and strike out all the unwanted words in the answer summary and reduce it to 150 words. The essence of the meaning of the summary should not change, but unwanted word has to be striked out. So by this, what happens is you will know how to make a thing concise. For 250 words into 150 words, you will know how to concise and write precisely. That's the technique which you can use to understand how many unwanted words you are using in an answer. So these are the exercises which you have to do after reading NCERT, and I recommend this at least for these 2 NCERTs of quality. Okay,
I think let me just summarize this, right? There are 3 things. One, which I think Vishnu on the chat said. One is your active recall. While if you're reading something and you know in the night you have to reproduce it, there is an element of active recall which also already factored in your headspace. You're not reading for leisure, you're reading for reproducing at the night time. Second, you will get to know the retention percentage, right? You'll get to know अभी दिमाग कितना retain कर पा रहा है, basis आप कितना उसको paper में लिख पा रहे हो, ठीक है? Third is how compressed or how economical is your understanding. That is when Ranadheer said ki you might be writing everything, but it was taking 400 words or 500 words for you to write everything, right? Now is the time when you compress it to 250 words or 350 words or less. Okay? आप लोग see the idea why we are doing this such a micro thing here is because once you solidify this thing, then when you read difficult text or when you have read enough NCERT chapters, then you will be able to make micro notes. Right. And I'll show you one of the micro notes in this webinar, flash notes, which we give to our students. So I'll tell you the ideal state of your note making and how you start. You start with summarizing NCERT pages. It's a separate issue. It's an added bonus that UPSC sometimes takes questions right from the NCERT. Okay. So that is an added bonus that the practicality of such a book, which is universally available for everyone. Correct. UPSC is an exam which everyone writes in India. You guys would be lucky to get mentored by us or by any other good mentor outside, but not everyone is. So bare minimum bhi attempt sab log kar paye, UPSC takes care of that into consideration, right? So this is one of the chapters where simple, like Ranadheer said, right? Ki intro, body, conclusion just flows in. There are diagrams, there are structures, there are cartoons, and you're not supposed to draw cartoons on the paper, but structures and graphs which you're supposed to do, put out there, and they're embedded in your NCERT reading. Guys, whoever is raising hands, I would request type out all your questions on the chat. Once we are done with this, then we'll go through. Okay. Uh, next question, and I just don't want to leave it here. Next question, because NCERT is indeed a gold mine and a cornerstone of preparation for every aspirant. So the aim of these webinars is that if you want to study by yourself, have this approach. If you want to study with a mentor, Ranadheer Sir will be having a batch of very small students. This year he'll take, I think, not more than 20-30 students. But this is the approach. Okay, next. Another example, and I'll tell you the question later. Ranadheer, can you, I would request you to do this thing.
I couldn't see your screen actually.
My screen is,
Kumar. I can only see Mithul Kumar.
my screen is shared, right? You should be able to see the screen.
I'm able to see some Mithul Kumar. Please, Mithul Kumar, whoever is, please don't raise your
Lower the
hand.
hand. Okay, please don't raise your hands, anyone. Everyone is able to see the screen, right? Guys, a yes or no would work. You can see the shared NCERT page, correct? Ranadheer, on this page, just do this. So a lot of people would not have gone through these chapters, maybe. If you were to, if as a mentor, if you would request someone to go through it and you sit with them, what things would you make the person focus on and why? You've already annotated some parts. Just take him through this, and then we'll go to the actual UPSC question which came out of these 2 pages.
The 2 pages are secularism and that thing, right?
Fair. This is, yeah, correct.
Because I'm unable to see your screen, so I have to see the slides actually.
Yeah, I mean, you see the slides.
So it's page number 4 of the slides, right?
Yeah, it's the Judiciary, Indian Constitutional Work, Chapter 6, Judiciary. Yes.
See, look at the introduction of this chapter once. You will understand how this has been introduced. Many times courts are seen only as arbitrators. So that means they are giving us some context. What does courts generally do actually? So it's like setting a background for us. Okay, so that's within just one line, I can understand that what NCERT is trying to do here. So they are setting a context, they are giving some story about the Supreme Court, saying that what does they do actually. So they are giving us just setting a premise there. And with that premise, they are coming to, but judiciary performs some political functions also. That means now with this, we are able to understand that, yes, so it's not just only about judiciary, but there is something to do with judiciary and politicians, our legislation executive. So we are getting a taste of this whole chapter in the introduction itself. So that is what introduction also should be in the UPSC, but in a very precise way. Okay, that we'll discuss when we discuss the next question also. Look at the but judiciary performs the same some political function also. Judiciary is an important organ of government. So Supreme Court, Court of India, is one of the very powerful courts in the world. So that's what it is mentioned. So that means we have got a gist of what is arbitration. Arbitration different from Supreme Court, what Supreme Court does. There is Supreme Court also works with politicians. Okay, so in some relation, and it is also very powerful organ. So that's a good summary of Supreme Court, what Supreme Court is. So that's what introduction is all about. So next comes the body part. So look at how the introduction is very well written by NCERT book actually. So that's what I observe. That's what I want you to focus on these things on each and every chapter actually, especially in these 2 books. Or in fact, any NCERT book is finding the same actually. And now at the end of this first paragraph, they are giving a summary actually that what all can we learn in this. So this is one of the best way to write an essay also. If someone want to write essay, this is a perfect way. Sometimes what happens after giving a short introduction, then we can say in the essay what all we are going to discuss in the essay. That's summarizing the essay in 4 to 5 points. So this also gives a standard form for writing essay also. So that's what we can learn from NCERT.
Okay, I'm going to the next page now. The one where you've highlighted in red.
Yes. So judiciary and parliament. See, the question generally by this judiciary and parliament, we can understand that there is some sort of separation of power. Okay. So separation of power is between judiciary, legislature, and executive. So that's what we can understand it, judiciary and parliament. So there is some sort of separation of power happening. See this. Thus, there are areas where considered beyond the scope of judicial review, such as powers of president, governor. So there are some thing which is beyond Supreme Court. Supreme Court is not all powerful, but there are some things which are beyond Supreme Court's power. And of course, they are president and governor. And next you'll also come across legislation for this parliament and executive also. So all these things are one which we can learn. And if you look at the page number 14 ones, 12 to 17, you can get much more insights actually. If anyone has NCERT, please see into that. Go to page number 12. We have something called public interest education, which will come
I
next.
don't think they'll be able to open NCERTs
Sure, no problem.
in the webinar, so they'll be confused right now. Let's go
Sure,
to the
no
question then, which is inspired from this page. Can you see the webinar slides, Ranadheer?
I have opened my own slides actually.
Okay, perfect. So I'm on the question which was asked in 2019, which was lifted from these two pages.
The question says, judicial legislation is antithetical to the doctrine of separation of powers as envisaged in the Indian Constitution. In this context, justify the filing of large number of public interest petitions, praying for issuing guidelines to executive authorities. See, now look at the wordplay by UPSC. Instead of public interest litigation, they have used published interest petitions. Now, what happens is in the examination, when we have only 3 hours for 20 questions, generally we get confused whether public interest litigation is similar to public interest petition or not. Are they both identical or different? So this is how UPSC plays with you also. That's a wordplay by UPSC. So look at the first part. First, they have given a statement actually. So judicial legislation is antithetical doctrine of separation of powers as envisaged in the Indian Constitution. If you read this chapter clearly, in the page number 17 of this chapter, there is clearly mentioned what is separation of powers, judiciary, executive, and legislative. So from that, you can easily extract your content from this. And again, I'm saying just by reading it's not sufficient. You have to read, remember, and practice, right? And everything you'll get by writing this after you read actually. And so in the same chapter, it's a whole statement. You can justify the whole statement, whatever the UPSC is asking you to justify them. So the first statement, the statement in the question is judicial legislation is antithetical to the doctrine of separation of powers as envisaged in the Constitution. So it's the statement given and you have to justify the statement first. And the statement justification can be done entirely through the NCERT chapter itself. In this context, justify the filing of large number of public interest petitions. It is here it becomes very interesting for us. If you look at the slides, if you look at the slides in this, I think the picture is not there, but in page number 12 of this, there is a dialog box which is clearly mentioned. We can derive the definition of the PIL from the NCERT book itself. I'll just for your for your reference, I'll just read the statement where it is mentioned in NCERT. Public spirited citizens and voluntary organizations sought judicial intervention for protection of existing rights, betterment of life conditions of poor, protection of environment, and many other issues in interest of public. This is a simple definition of PIL anyone can find. And this is clearly mentioned in NCERT, this chapter of NCERT. So that means no need to look into any other book regarding what is PIL, definition of PIL. So within 20-25 words, the introduction is very neatly given in NCERT. So that's what I'm saying is read NCERTs and understand them and try to remember what is there in NCERT.
Ranadheer Sir, can I request? So most of the people would be new and most of this would be very, very technical for them right now. But I want these people to have a feel of what attempting this answer would look like. So can you tell me the points in the context of, the second part, the concept in this context, justify the filing of a large number of PILs, praying for issuing guidelines to executive authority? Like how should a student be writing the intro body? Like what is the theme of this question? What are the keywords? And then how should they be writing?
Sure. See, in the introduction, just simply you can define what is PIL, which I just now I read from NCERT, the whole 20-25 words, which is clearly given in. Now they're asking that why is it that we are having lots of bills, right? Yeah, and this is just filing of large number of public interest petitions. Just read the next paragraph in NCERT in the same page. You will there clearly mention that there are lots of problems going on in India. It may be environment problems, poor people, or number of people lingering in jails. So these are the reasons. So you can write in a body part of introduction, give a heading. The reason for filing huge number of petitions are following. Something called as executive accountability. So we have to put executive as accountable. So that's the reason we are filing bill. So examples are also given in NCERT. So one of the best example for this Vishaka versus state of Rajasthan. So I think everyone might have been by this time might have been familiar with the concept with the case of Vishaka versus state of Rajasthan. If not, again there's this clearly mentioned in NCERT. You can just have a look at there. Okay. Next, enforcement of fundamental rights. So look, just note the pointers actually. What pointers are important in this answer are executive accountability. Next, enforcement of fundamental rights. There's a famous case called Bandhwa Mukti. So each and every point you can give an example also here. Okay. So first point which I'm saying is executive accountability. Second point is fundamental. For executive accountability, example is Visakhapatnam state of Rajasthan. For enforcement of fundamental rights, the best example is Bandhwa Mukti Morcha. Okay, this is a very important case, in which Supreme Court has given guidelines to protect bonded labor rights. Then addressing the pressing social issues. Social issues might be ranging from public policy making to police reforms. The best example is Prakash Singh versus Union of India. And need for, so there are the three important areas which you can focus on. And you can give multiple examples. What toppers or rankers do is they will give two examples or three examples for each of this. That will make their answer much more value added. And next part of the body, you can also mention the criticisms of this. And again, I'm saying if you look at this NCERT chapter, there's a small character where he asks a question. He asks a question. I have heard someone say that PIL means private interest litigation. So that's a criticism of this again answer. So a small kid asking a question or raising an opinion saying that I have heard that PIL also means private interest litigation. That itself means that is a criticism of that method, that approach actually. So by extracting from there, you can also be a critical of this approach also. So that's a very beautiful way the NCERT has given us. So we have to think, ponder on these things, and then your answer becomes very, very beautiful.
Perfect. Perfect. I think these two examples were given just to elucidate the importance of NCERT, not just for getting your basics right, but also telling you that it's very practical. Exam में से directly they will lift off questions, and if you've read them well, you'll be able to answer 10 or 15 marker directly. Okay. And there lies the important thing, right? Ki all of us know that NCERTs are important. All of us have heard from every ranker. ये पिछले 2 साल से ज़्यादा शुरू हो गया है. I hope English and Hindi is okay with everyone, right? But everyone knew from before as well. But the point is that unless and until you daily read your NCERTs and summarize them like this is a small loop. You know, the problem with UPSC is that it's a subjective exam. If you do not close your loops every day, then what's going to happen is that, you know, you'll be doing a lot of things, but you'll never see the end of each micro action. This is unlike JEE or NEET, where it's just concepts and एक बार concept चमक गया, it's done. This is not an exam. It's a subjective exam, right? So you need to open the loop, close it. You need to know what you gained out of it, where you still have to master things, and what else, right? So the ideal point is that आप start करो NCERT से, summarize them like this. And we'll show you example of our students who just joined us last month or last months, and how we make them first write the NCERT ki summaries, and then we make them write Samachar Month and the current affair program ke weekly answers, right? And but trust me, this is where most of the people will fail. You know, Animesh was a working professional. I am sure most of you would have attended my previous webinars as well, and I've told this before as well. I asked Animesh in a 3-hour long dinner that, you know, what really was the key to success. And for all 50 weeks when he was with us, he was writing answers every weekend. Every weekend he was writing answers. And because they helped him, इस बार हमने क्या किया that every mentor on every week, one day, maybe Thursday or Friday, will sit with all the mentees and make them write current affairs answers with them live. And then discuss the approach and best answers from among the people. So if I were to give you this question and ask you to brainstorm right now, just the way we did a while back, you will get to know from each other's experiences that what are the good points, what are the bad points, what are the points where everyone is writing. so you won't get any extra marks for them? What are some of the unique points which if you bring in the body or conclusion, body, not conclusion, then you'll get the extra edge, right? All the questions I'll ask right now, ठीक है, थोड़ी देर में, बस 2 minutes more. Now, this is one of the students just say, this is what we did. We picked up the NCERT, there was a chapter on freedom. This was written on 1st of May 2024. Okay, and then we asked her to attempt the question. ठीक है, तो होता क्या है पहले, and you have to write this by your own hand, both of these things. This practice, if done consistently with a discipline week over week, trust me, is going to solve most of your woes. You'll get the confidence every weekend. Ranadheer Sir, do you have to comment on this?
Yes, when I asked the student after writing NCERT, is there any improvement? And she said that I have asked recently to the students about what is their experience and how are they feeling of writing summary of NCERTs. They felt that it has become very easy for them to start writing mains answer writing. And it helped them to understand themselves, how they are reading and how to change the reading approach after each chapter and all this stuff. So it is really making impact in the students. That's what I would say.
And this is like this, the most unglamorous part of your UPSC preparation, by the way. The glamorous part of UPSC preparation is, getting value-added notes and rank करके answer copies and whatnot from the ecosystem, because Telegram may be sub available. The most unglamorous part of UPSC preparation is doing this thing day in, day out. I mean, if that's it, this is the webinar, it's done. I'll just tell you about Samachar Manthan में क्या होता है, but I'll give you a few questions if you want live attempt करने के लिए, and we can see कि आपके क्या क्या ideas हैं. So this is what we do in Samachar Manthan, which is a part of the UAP program, the ultimate assessment program, wherein you get 5 questions a week. You get the current affairs of that week. होता क्या है कि हफ्ते में एक एक न्यूज़ जो आती है, it slowly matures up, right? It becomes a theme worthy of getting asked in a mains exam. Once like you have a news, then more facts emerge, then there's a op-ed from right wing, there's an op-ed or editorial from left wing, and then it piles up. There's some historical context. End of the week में news has some semblance, right? अभी FTA पे last week I think बहुत free trade agreement पे बहुत news आई थी, right? One interesting way is, and you need to ask them basic questions. इतने सारे FTA क्यों होते हैं? Why do FTAs take so much time to get signed on? Sometimes the answer is very simple, that, just like how we negotiate salaries with our workplace, FTAs, maybe countries keep negotiating the right pricing and the right strategy, the right percentage cut. The world works in commonsensical ways, right? If you would have read last week एक news that there is a new corridor यूरोप एंड इंडिया के बीच में, जो मिडिल ईस्ट के साथ, यूएई के साथ जो बन रहा है, you would have read this, right? Honestly, if you guys have been following that news, one of the most sincere question which should have come to you is that what is happening right now? अभी कितने corridors हैं यहाँ पे with which we are taking the, the trades, and what's the problem with them? Right? That's how a bureaucrat should think. Okay, अभी क्या possibility? So there are 2 corridors. Can anyone put in those? क्या corridors हैं अभी? वो तो जब बनेगा बनेगा, अभी ट्रेड किसके थ्रू होती है? Suez Canal, correct, Shivam? Correct. And Red Sea, correct, absolutely. Now you would know why these things are in trouble, right? You would know about the Somalian pirate attacks and whatnot. So once you start thinking like this, and that was just a small news, correct? It was a very small news. It's a prelims worthy news. But just when you start thinking with us, then you'll imagine, okay, kahan ye hit kar sakta hai? The FTA thing is so important. It should like literally make you question, okay, why are FTAs getting stretched? Why are there negotiations and renegotiations happening? And what part of, economical theme is making problems in the FTA negotiations? Is it trade? Is it investments? Are they clubbing together? Kya ho raha hai? And then when you start asking questions like these, then you will go to the relevant theory parts as well. Static se nikal ke aayega. This is the way you will revise your static as well. Okay. So what happens in, one of the essential part of UAP is Samachar Manthan, wherein in every weekend, we give you 5 questions, the most important 5 questions, thematic questions. So effectively, mahine mein you're covering 20 themes. Effectively, in a year, you're covering 240 themes. Jisme you would have brainstormed with your colleagues and whatnot. And that's what creates a difference. And this is the last slide of the webinar, and then I'll open up the questions. This is the backend of Samachar Manthan every day. right? So every day when the team sits with the daily news from Hindu, Indian Express, Mint, and whatever down to what जो भी magazine में हमको सही लगती हैं, these are the directives which go to the internal summarizers. We don't go for GPT. कोई GPT use नहीं करता CD में. GPT will leave a lot of UPSC worthy information outside. So we sit on every news. So आपको news ऐसे दिखेगी कि अगर मेंस में पढ़ो देखो, adopting a transformative vision for mediation is a GS2 news. This is from Hindu. This is 14th May. I could have bought a very recent one also, but I just to give you a sense of it. We would give sub guidelines to the curating team कि इन चीजों पे फोकस करना है. And these snapshots are also given to our students कि अगर आपको daily news पढ़नी है तो आप भी पढ़ सकते हो. You know, a lot of people say that I want to read newspaper every day. Whereas we say that, just give us your weekend and we'll take care of the news. But if you really want to read newspaper every day, if that's a psychological comfort you want for yourself, fine. We shared this on a telegram to you. So Hindu uthana hai, Express uthana hai. When you're reading these news, make sure that you are answering these red highlighted points. Okay, that's how tight and crisp your preparation has to be on a daily level. And when you study like this, then you don't have a full year, right? You're almost on a weekly basis, you're disciplining yourself to some outcome. So 1 week, 4 weeks, 1 month, 54 weeks a year. Quarter level पे तुम अपने को assess कर पाओगे, and that's it, right? So just to summarize very quickly, there is a reason why we take NCERTs lightly, and that's because most of the things that we've read in our 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 time are like trivial, and we remember thoda bahut. We've never really gone into reading NCERT at this level. जहाँ we've given enough importance to even the intro. किसने ऐसे intro पढ़ा होगा यार स्कूल में? कोई नहीं पढ़ता. But now with the mature mindset, when you start reading intro, then you will know there's a lot of stuff to unpack here. And then when you see questions like these, then you get a sense of, okay, UPSC treats NCERT as the lowest common denominator, and it wants everyone to have gone through that. And there comes a weekly grind, which we put. If you cannot join our program, or if you're already a part of any other program, make sure you do this. Make sure you tell your mentor कि ये मैंने किया है, ये करिए. Samachar Manthan is not just for mains, by the way. It's for prelims and mains. But I am trying to tell you the mains part because people think that NCERTs are maybe good for prelims only. Yeah, maybe for the initial fundamental base. No, it's not. It's for the end goal as well. We are in the age of information. Nothing is private wisdom. So you should know exactly what you're gunning for, right? I'll open the chat now. If you have any questions, put your hands up and I'll ask you one by one to unmute. And then we'll finish this off in the next 15 minutes. Anyone who wants to get in touch with us, CD के handle ने already share कर रखा है. Drop us a WhatsApp note. Write all the details of, आप क्या हो, क्या कर रहे हो, कैसे पढ़ाई शुरू करी, whatever. And we'll get back to you. So if anyone in the audience has a question, raise your hands and, let's chat. Whoever has a question, just put your hands up and we'll ask you to unmute. Hi, Bhumika. Can you put your video on?
Okay. So,
Yes. Hi, good evening.
good evening, sir.
Yep.
So, could you please say how to approach old NCERTs of R.S. Sharma and ancient history and Satish Chandra Middle history?
Okay, when you say
Just
कि how
as
to
a
approach,
gist,
मतलब क्या?
like
I
how
think
to summarize from
yes.
from
I
those
think she's talking
NCERTs.
about the old NCERTs regarding ancient and medieval history.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
Okay. We've taken the question. We'll answer everything in one go. Okay. So Bhumika, we'll answer the question.
Okay.
Okay. Put your hand down. Anyone else wants to ask a question? Nisha, put your hands up and come on the video. Or पूछ लो. Vishnu, go ahead and ask your question. Raise your hand up. Should I unmute Vishnu?
Vishnu has lots of doubts with this.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, what is the approach for the mains perspective only?
What's the approach for the mains perspective?
Means what are your approach only for prelims or mains? for the Samachar Manthan.
अच्छा ठीक है, fine. Anyone else? Any other question? Harshita is asking how to make notes. Piyush, okay, unmute yourself.
गुड इवनिंग सर.
Good evening.
सर मुझे नोट्स मेकिंग के बारे में जानना था. आई वांट टू नो अबाउट, क्योंकि मैं बुक लेके पढ़ता हूँ तो बहुत सारा चीज एक ही जगह पे आ जाता है. मतलब
Notes making के बारे में किस किस को जानना है यार? Who all wants to know about notes making and exactly what? Ayesha, whoever wants to raise your hand on Zoom, guys. Okay, Sonu Ansari, बताओ. Sonu, unmute कर दो if you can. Okay, I think Sonu is lost. Prachiti Sangle, go ahead, unmute yourself.
हेलो सर.
Hi.
सर मैं अभी बिगनर हूँ तो कैसे मतलब एनसीईआरटी कवर हो गई पर टाइम मैनेजमेंट कैसे करूँ मैं. मेरा जो ऑप्शनल है वो भी क्लासेस कंप्लीट हो गई है तो मेरा अभी जीएस चालू है तो मतलब कैसे कंप्लीट करूँ मतलब टाइम
ठीक है.
मैनेजमेंट नहीं हो रहा है मेरा.
Okay, fine. Vanshika, I'll ask you to unmute. बोलो.
Sir, I want to know about how to make how to interlink the static part with the dynamic one, and how to make notes from NCERT to approach the mains answers.
Okay. Ayesha.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, actually, sir, I'm an 17-year-old aspirant for the UPSC 2029, and I just wanted to ask you the question that it would be better to read a newspaper from, means at this age I can start reading newspaper for my exams or not?
You're too early for UPSC right now. I would suggest that if you really are serious about it, start reading newspaper, but focus on vocabulary. Okay.
Yes,
The
sir.
best thing that you can do right now is focus on vocabulary, sentence construction, and try to have a worldview. So I'll tell you what, in the last year, when we got the rankers, one of the rankers was replying to his board, who was in the interview. An interview में chairman ने बोला, boss, do not talk like Rajendra Nagar aspirant. You guys know what ORN is, right? Most of the people would know. So make sure that your point of views are different and they're backed by some facts. So अभी 17 की उम्र में और कुछ नहीं करने का है. You just have to read whatever you can, read good books, develop a vocab, and go by that. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Awesome. Pawan. Pawan, unmute कर दो.
Good evening, sir.
And please put your
Sir,
video on, यार, guys.
okay. Sir, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir,
Hi.
actually, I read Spectrum as well as one of the toppers copy, that is Animesh.
Hmm.
So, when I take one topic, right, used to
Hmm.
make like what are the important things in the topic,
Hmm.
the things to be remembered. What about the others? Like, for example, if we consider civil disobedience movement, right? In Lahore session, Jawaharlal Nehru will be elected as a president. See, what are the outcomes of that Lahore session? It is important. But what are the presidential address by Nehru? That is, I think, least important. But should we also remember, or how to remember that? And if you want.
Okay, got it. Harshita, do you have a question?
गुड इवनिंग सर. सर मेरा क्वेश्चन है कि इसमें जो नोट्स यूज करते हैं, जो आंसर्स लिखते हैं, वो कहाँ से लिखें? कोचिंग का भी मटेरियल हो जाता है, टॉपर्स कॉपी से या गूगल से, या फिर कहाँ से देख के लिखे? तो वो एक्चुअल जो नोट्स जो अपन को लिखना होता है इन 150 वर्ड्स एंड 250 वर्ड्स, तो वो कहाँ से फाइंड करें? बुक्स से, कहाँ से? बहुत सारा मटेरियल हो जाता है.
Okay, awesome. I've got most of the questions. Now let me just answer things one by one. I think a non-contentious question, the question which is universal here, is how to make notes. Okay, and what you're really asking is that this stays so much in the syllabus, and when I start reading, everything appears important, or at least I am not able to assess what to leave and what to mark. Correct? One of the way in which you can assess is कि if I can just give you a PYQ की list, कि this is the PYQ, ये सवाल पूछे, and if you can just match keywords from your NCERT or whatever book you start from, then you will have some sense of, okay, this thing, these lines, these portions appear important. Or if I ask you, dude, mark up the syllabus, make sure that the syllabus is in front of you, then you will be able to map the syllabus to what you're reading and see, okay, this appears important. Now, like one of the guys said, right, कि एक particular Congress का session है, and I should know the outcomes of it, but I need not necessarily know the address. You're right. But sometimes reading the address makes things interesting for you. If you are someone who wants a lot of subjectivity, a lot of storytelling, then read the address, but don't remember it as such. Don't pressurize yourself to remember it, but it adds the flavor, the masala. Okay. But I'll tell you now the end goal. Okay. Let me share with you flash notes, one which we share with our students, UAP and all. Can you see this screen, everyone? Chat pe, then I can't. There's too much here.
Yeah, it's visible. It's visible, sir.
It's visible, right? Correct.
Yeah, it's visible.
Now your end game has to be this. Your end game has to be these notes which are concise enough for you to keep going through. Now, these are the notes we meticulously made by crunching NCERTs, Lakshmikant, topper notes, and whatnot. And these are one-stop solution for remembering everything. So Civilsdaily की team is all IIT graduates. Most of us are IIT graduates. And IIT या engineering graduates क्या कर सकते हैं? हर चीज को एक Excel और column और rows में divide कर देते हैं, so that it's easy to recall, right? So what we do here now is कि ये देखो, if you have to compare constitution, if you have to compare different provisions of constitution across different countries, it's easy to. This is the painful hard work which almost every ranker does, and he wastes a lot of time or spends a lot of time doing that. I would not say waste a lot of time, but spends a lot of time. If you do this by yourself, it's a very rewarding exercise. But अगर आपके पास time नहीं है, if you're a working professional or if you are hard pressed in completing your syllabus, flash notes से better कुछ नहीं है for revision. Not just revision, but interlinking things. I'll share with you some of the beautiful stuff that we've done, which interlinks. जिसने पूछा ना interlink कैसे करते हैं? Fundamental rights. रुको, I'll share with you. Where the. So by the way, this document is big because it's everything in polity. इसके बाद कुछ नहीं पढ़ना. Look at these DPSP and FD. We're comparing things.
There are a lot of examples of fundamental topic also. They have been with current affairs also. The Supreme
Correct,
Court
correct.
resolution, all this.
What we are doing is that we are ये देखो Supreme Court के cases. So Animesh had made a list of all the Supreme Court cases which he can cite for different kind of questions. We did the hard work for you. Now all you have to do is make sure that you go through these. अब अगर तुम्हें इसके बारे में और Google करना है, थोड़ा और flavor चाहिए, ज़्यादा पढ़ना है, then Google is there for you. But whatever you do, come back to this document. Wherever you feel like going, and UPSC is a place where you will be subjectively, outperforming each everyone. So जो भी लोग कहते हैं ना कि NCERT में 150 words में कैसे आंसर लिखें, वो practice से ही आएगा. There is no other answer for that. वो ऐसे ही आएगा. That is the reason why, as a part of UAP, Ranadheer Sir के अंदर जो बच्चे होते हैं, this is what we do. We make them write NCERT की summaries. Ranadheer Sir makes them write NCERT की summary. पहले लेवल पे summary लिखो, फिर देखो कितना retain किया है, फिर देखो how economical you were in those summaries. Are you able to crunch it in? This is when you're able to crunch it in less than 100 words. Right? You see this, right? Every case is crunched in one line. I mean, this is the level
we have to achieve actually.
This is the level you have to achieve, right? So when you join in, you should know ideal क्या है. What's the end game? आप start कहीं से भी करो, कोई problem नहीं है यार. I do not have right now the copy of Animesh, but Animesh started with a very basic answer. He was not a prodigy with UPSC answer writing, but he became better and better. I think he used to ask Ranadheer Sir की number कम क्यों मिल रहे हैं, क्योंकि they used to have group checks, right, on समाचार मंथन के. So you have to kind of make sure that you're evolving at this level. Okay. And I have these kind of PDFs for history, polity, environment, and everything. And we are making these PDFs, these content resources, so that your revision can be breeze. You do not have to struggle for making your own micro notes. लेकिन जो पहला वाला काम है ना, one where you have to write your own summaries, one where you have to write answers. There is no shortcut for that. There'll never ever be shortcut for that. So all of you guys who ask कि notes making नहीं आती, it's fine. It's fine, नहीं आएगी शुरू में. End game की note making हम ही आपको दे देंगे. But शुरू में it's okay if you underline, it's okay if you go through it again, it's okay if you write a Samachar Mantra answer and then Ranadheer Sir tells you you missed an important point from NCERT. Go back and read that page and write the answer again. That's completely fine. Okay. Any question with respect to note making, the answer is that you start from wherever you start, end game ye. Okay. There was a question around old NCERTs and new NCERTs. Here's the thing now. All the NCERTs need to be covered in 2 months. That's what we aim. NCERTs are important, yes, but they also have to be covered in a time-bound manner. Now, we don't leave it all on you to cover. So NCERT, whenever you cover a particular NCERT, and we'll tell you what all to cover. I don't have that ready list, but when you join the program, you'll get to know ye karna hai. We have 2 kinds of tests for each NCERT. One is a basic and one is an advanced test. Under every mentor, you have to write both of those tests. Those are PYQs. Once you write them, we get to know आपने कितना ढंग से पढ़ा है कि नहीं पढ़ा. We get to know आप कहाँ पे अटके हो, कहाँ पे आगे जा रहे हो. And that is the only way in which a feedback loop is put in place so that you can get how meticulously I covered those chapters or what's left. That's it. There is no rocket science to UPSC. There are just best practices which you have to apply week over week, month over month till you get the rank. Any other question?
So there is no interesting question here, which every student has actually, which is
Yeah.
asked by AD. I don't know what this is. The question is, sir, should we start answer writing by referring books first or start by what we remember after reading? Yeah, so this is a very general question or very regular questions every student asks. Answer देख के लिखना है या बिना देख के लिखना है, or we have to prepare for the question first or then we have to, without preparation we have to write. First, initially always prepare and write. Okay, so pick up a question, prepare for the question, make some pointers, then give at least 24 hours of gap and then write the answer for the question. That would be a very good way to start your answer. Because when we write exam, when that also we write after preparation itself. So without preparation, its writing is not a good thing. So at the final mains also we write with preparation itself. So here also you prepare for the question, but give 24 hours of gap initially and increase this gap to 7 days, like within a 6 months, 7 months time. That means you have read to today, you have made pointers for the question today. So give 24 hours gap and give next day gap and the other day start writing the answer for that. Like that, increase it to say 7 days gap. So 1 day, 2 days, 3 days to 7 days gap. Because 7 days gap is why I ask is because before means at least for 7 days you have to revise. Before 7 days you have to revise everything. That means you have a 7 days gap actual window period. So at least you have to remember for 7 days whatever you are reading. So that's why start with 1 day. So prepare for the questions, give 1 day gap, and then start writing your answers. Initially, do like that initially.
Okay, perfect. Unnati, I'll unmute you or I'll request you to unmute. Batao.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, I want to ask about the UAP program. Sir, that Samachar Manthan is part of it, one of the part of it. But we have the year-long test series of prelims and mains tests so that our main syllabus is also covered through the test.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what happens when you join UAP. When you come in, we will first profile you, sit with you, try to understand what you know, all what you have to study, right? Everyone knows NCERT padhne ye sab padhna hai. We first try to understand why are you not able to complete these resources? What's actually holding you back? Usually the fundas are either you're constrained by time, college mein ho ya fir full-time working professional ho, or you don't understand the importance of these basic course books. जैसे अभी दिखाई थी, right? This webinar was basically to tell you the importance of NCERT with respect to mains as well, right? And then every week of yours is made accountable. We give you targets to complete. We tell the focus area which you have to focus on, and then there is a proof of work which you have to submit. It's almost like a report card thing which we used to have in school, but trust me, it's needed to keep you disciplined. ये 1-2 महीने तक चलेगा इस लेवल पे, एकदम वैसे टीचर टाइप लगेगा स्कूल की तरह का. Then you get into the flow of things. In the middle of this, every weekend, you will be having Samachar Manthan classes and you will be having those 5 questions which you have to write, and you will attempt all of them in group with the mentor there. As you grow, you will be given prelims question papers and mains question paper also to write. So we have different faculties for that. Arvind sir, Shubham sir, who they are leads for the mains program, and Zishan sir, you would have seen on YouTube, he leads the prelims, right? So all your year is taken care of and everything is assessment oriented. Okay, that's very practical. You'll always be assessed and then you'll be taken a call, and then the mentor will hear you out, kya ho pa raha hai, kya nahi ho pa raha hai, and accordingly your targets will be set. If there's a college exam or there are deadlines in the workplace that you have to adhere to, it's okay, we'll remake the timetable for you, or we'll sit with you and talk about. That's what we did with Animesh, right? He was struggling with his personal family issues as well. And so, and in the middle of all this, I think his sister also got married, I think, right, Ranadheer? Right.
Yes.
And so he had to plan, pre-plan, post-plan, वो सब कुछ. So it's like your, you know, a GPS for your learning navigation, समझ लो. ठीक है. जो भी होगा, we'll give you the shortest possible path to get back on the track.
Also, do you have any Hindi medium program?
Yes, we do. In Hindi medium, we have only mentorship program. तो हिंदी मीडियम का ना कंटेंट नहीं है हमारे पास, मतलब, and being very transparent and fair, but we have test series and prelims and mains test series in English. ठीक है. Written, ये जो books जो मैंने flash notes दिखाए थे, ये हिंदी में नहीं है. So there is an only mentorship thing wherein the mentor will हर week पे target set करेगा, then will ask you कहाँ से किया, क्या किया, and आप जिस भी material से पढ़ रहे हो आप उससे पढ़ सकते हो. That's for the Hindi. And for the Hindi medium, the mentors we have are also IIT graduates who one of them just missed clearing the interview this time. I'm sure he'll get through next. Roshan Prajapat नाम है, जिसने IIT धनबाद ग्रेजुएट, 2 मेंस निकाल चुके हैं शायद, 2 या 3, और इंटरव्यू में जा चुके हैं. इस साल बहुत छोटे मार्क्स से नहीं निकला, सिर्फ इंटरव्यू के मार्क्स से, which is what he's going to work on. What else? You can no, अनिमेश सर के साथ 1-on-1 चैट नहीं होगी. अनिमेश सर के साथ जब कभी चैट हो पाएगी ना तो बहुत प्रैक्टिकल होगी. Something we'll ask him to go. We'll call him for all of the UAP students एक साथ, but those will be like very practical chats with him. कि you know अपने notes क्या बनाए, क्या सोच के बनाए, something which will give you a sneak peek into his mind, क्योंकि वही important है.
अगर सेम वही ना, सेम क्वेश्चंस नहीं पूछ सकते कि सेम आपने कौन से रिसोर्सेज पढ़े, कैसे
हाँ,
पढ़ा,
ये बेसिक क्वेश्चंस खत्म, ये सब यहीं पे और अपने मेंटर से ही पूछ सकते हो. वो भी एक ही बार मेंटर बताएगा एंड देन यू हैव टू फॉलो. ओके, सौरभ.
सर मेरा क्वेश्चन है सर, ये यूएपी जो हिंदी मीडियम प्रोग्राम है, इसमें सर कंटेंट रहेगा या नहीं?
यार इसमें ना कंटेंट इंग्लिश में मिलेगा, टेस्ट सीरीज भी इंग्लिश में ही है, बट मेंटर्स आपको हिंदी के यूपीएससी के मेंस क्लियर्ड वाले मिलेंगे, है ना, जिन्होंने
कंटेंट कहाँ से कवर होगा?
देखो सौरभ, यूएपी में ना मोस्टली टेस्ट ही होते हैं, तो अगर आप इफ यू आर कंफर्टेबल विद राइटिंग टेस्ट इन इंग्लिश प्रीलिम्स और मेंस के, देन इट्स अ प्रोग्राम फॉर यू, एंड मेंटर्स आपके साथ रहेंगे. समाचार मंथन एज अ प्रोग्राम इज बोथ हिंदी इंग्लिश, जो करंट अफेयर्स का प्रोग्राम है, बट कंटेंट तो आप कहीं से भी देख लो, अभी तो सारा कंटेंट अवेलेबल ही है कहीं भी.
Saurav, I asked you to request Civilsdaily sir and founders to make it in Hindi medium also.
Yeah.
You can request them and
Yeah,
see if
but
possible.
हाँ, but इसके लिए ना we need a lot of resources to make sure that it's nicely done in Hindi also, वरना we don't want to do a random job. तो सौरभ आप अपना मैसेज ड्रॉप कर दो यहाँ पे, हम आपकी बात करा देंगे हिंदी के मेंटर्स से, ठीक है? तो वो आपको ढंग से समझ लेंगे, अगर आपको सही लगता है देन ज्वाइन द प्रोग्राम, वरना आप देखना, ठीक है? Anyone else who wants to ask a question, put their hands up. Otherwise, you guys have been a great audience. 104 लोग अभी तक के on a Sunday night. कोई भी डाउट है जो अभी हाँ नहीं पूछ सकते आप, प्लीज ड्रॉप इट इन द WhatsApp for us. Time period for Samachar Manthan is full year till you clear your mains. Harshita, do you have a question? No. Pavan?
Shambhu has a question.
अच्छा, there is a guy called Sahil. Sahil, बताओ.
हेलो सर.
Hello.
गुड इवनिंग.
Good evening.
हाँ सर, मुझे ये पूछना था कि मैं अभी मतलब सेकेंड ईयर में हूँ, तो 2 साल मतलब प्रिपरेशन के लिए आप क्या सजेस्ट करते हो, लाइक एज अ मेंटोर?
क्या पढ़ाई कर रहे हो?
मैं अभी बीएमएस कर रहा हूँ, मतलब मैनेजमेंट स्टडीज.
अच्छा, कहाँ पे हो?
मुंबई में, ठाणे.
थाने में हो, ओके.
हाँ यस.
यूपीएससी देने का मन है पक्का?
हाँ यस सर.
ओके.
यस.
और अभी तक क्या किया है प्रिपरेशन यूपीएससी के लिए, क्या क्या किया है अभी तक?
Unless you
Hello.
can ask him to connect with the mentor later on now, and mentor can talk in detail.
साहिल,
हाँ
हाय।
सर, मैंने
ऐसा करते
मतलब
हैं,
थोड़ा बहुत स्टार्ट किया है मैंने
तो
यूट्यूब
ऐसा
से
करते हैं,
नोट्स। हाँ यस सर।
आप ना उस व्हाट्सएप के चैट में, जूम की चैट में एक व्हाट्सएप लिंक दे रखा है ना, आप वहाँ पे
हाँ
सारा ना लिख दो, विल हैव यू गेट अ चैट विद अ मेंटर।
ओके सर।
क्योंकि ऐसे वो पर्सनल क्वेश्चन आंसर करूंगा, देन दिस विल गेट ड्रैग्ड ऑन, कोई पॉइंट।
ओके, नो इशू नो इशू। यस सर,
ओके,
थैंक यू।
शंभू,
हाँ
हाय।
Hello, sir.
हाय।
Hi. Sir, my question is this program that you are launching, this is basically just test and a mentor who will ensure that you remain accountable throughout the entire preparation, right?
Correct, correct, correct. You
So,
got it. It is. So most of the aspirants are missing only two things: discipline and accountability.
yes,
That's it. So
I have complete.
Ranadheer sir के अंदर एक छोटा सा बैच होगा, and that batch will be focused on just these two things. Tests ही होंगे, पढ़ाई खुद करनी पड़ेगी, जो भी डाउट्स होंगे वो सब ग्रुप्स में, सेशन में क्लियर होंगे, और आपकी वीकली कॉल्स सेटअप होंगी।
Sir,
ठीक,
I'm from Pune, so I just sent a WhatsApp message and they said that there is offline center, so I
yes,
have to go to the
yeah.
offline center
Pune
every.
में we have an offline center. Yeah, we have an office there.
So we have to go there, right?
I
Directly.
mean, it's an online program, but आप जा भी सकते हो center if you want to. If you want to write test at the center, you can go and write test at the center.
And sir, okay, sir, that was the question. I will ask the rest to the WhatsApp person.
Perfect. In fact, इस साल के IAS हैं एक श्री कृष्णा, rank 150 or something. He is an IAS and he was one of the students of CD mentorship program, and he probably will be coming to Pune center to take some classes.
Sir, one of my seniors was your student, I guess.
Oh, नहीं,
I personally, he also got a rank of 32.
क्या नाम है?
Anay Navandar,
क्या नाम है?
Civilsdaily. Anay Navandar,
अच्छा,
school
right.
friend.
Okay. Then I think you
So
should go and meet us at the Pune center, no? You will meet Praveen sir or Shubham sir there, and
he actually suggested me that this Civilsdaily, I did not know.
that's
He
okay.
actually
So
said so.
we are famous for mentorship, year-long mentorship and all that. Most of the old institutes, they will give you classes. I would say classes are important if you are just beginning and if you're in college, second,
No,
third year जैसे हो ना.
I was
अगर आप
actually looking for a mentorship program only because syllabus तो
perfect,
हो गया cover.
then you are already a mature aspirant. Then आपको सिर्फ mentorship लगेगी. You don't need to, spend more time in doing classes right now.
Yes.
Okay. Pranjwal, आपका क्वेश्चन है, should we read newspaper daily or monthly magazine? Do it weekly. That's what the program of समाचार मंथन is about. डेली पढ़ने का अगर मन है, शौक है, तो उसके लिए भी we give you snippets every day. खुद से आप पढ़ सकते हो, and that's about that. और कुछ नहीं है. Anyone else who wants to ask? Venkat, do you have a question? Okay, unmute yourself.
So thank you, sir.
Yeah, hi.
Sir, I'm from Telangana, sir.
Hi, Venkat.
I have given my prelims last time, so I have cleared CSAT, but I get lost by few marks in prelims, sir. So I wanted to give Group 1 exam, Group 1 services in Telangana, and the mains exam is in October. So I want to prepare till October for the Group 1 mains, and then I can join the UAP program for the 2025, or I can join now, and anyone from you like Ranadheer Sir can give mentorship for Group 1 in Telangana, like up to Group 1 October, and then I'll shift complete focus to the UPSC.
Ranadheer sir, why don't you
Please,
answer? Take this
like
candidate.
I can, sir. I have one thing. For all the Telangana module, the state module, mains answer writing, I have one mentor. Like I am preparing with him. I just need the UPSC team, like team answer writing for this. So till October, like it is 4 months, and I was just preparing answers on my own from
Okay,
2 months.
got it, Venkat. Okay,
Yes,
we'll
sir.
cap that out. Ranadheer, do you have a ready quick
First of all,
answer?
I don't know how do you know that I'm in Telangana, but it's fine. Okay. So yeah, what happens is Samachar Manthan can be useful for you if you take course now. If you take UAP now, Samachar Manthan will be helpful to you till October, because irrespective of which state exam you're writing, the mains requires same amount of competence actually. So that's why if you join now, Samachar Manthan can be helpful for you, and you can write Samachar Manthan answers, and at the same time you have your own mentor for you. You can go with the both simultaneously. And if you want to join after October, then you'll be having exclusive preparation for UPSC. But what I feel is, if you are joining UAP, then the inputs you have to take from only one mentor, either that mentor or a mentor with Civilsdaily, because both mentors have different perspective of answer writing, and it will be clashing. So you have to choose yourself. Just Rohit sir can say you.
Yeah, I mean, pick one lane, है ना? मतलब ये, see, that's the thing which separates rankers from aspirants. ठीक है? Pick one lane, focus on one thing. It is hard, but only thing which is needed is consistency. Trust me, there are so many stories of very different kind of people who've cleared UPSC. I'll tell you one of them. Now we're on the bonus time, so I'll tell you some interesting stories. I'm forgetting the name of that ranker. It's either Bhargav or Bhaskar. He was consistently second last in the class of his whole academic career. He's a son of an IAS officer of Maharashtra cadre. Imagine the plight of that mother. But the parents were very, very supportive in everything. The person lost his father in the COVID time. And when he prepared for UPSC, the first 1 year of his preparation, he took only to understand how to learn, because he's never studied in classes. He's never studied any time in schools. So उसने मुझसे बोला कि Rohit sir, you also won't understand if I'm telling you that I took 1.5 years to just understand how to learn. But he made his own, way of structured his learning. So it took him 3 attempts, but he cleared an IRS rank this year. And his younger brother, who's a doctor in Bombay, some government medical college, asked him that, why did you attempt for UPSC? It's like you should not have attempted the UPSC exam. It's the toughest of all. And he said exactly for that reason, because it's the toughest thing to crack in India. And so I wanted to show the people that, I have something in me, I can crack the toughest exam. So I do these YouTube chats with rankers, raw and real करके, अगर आप CD के channel में देखोगे, and I try to ask their motivations, inspirations, their ups and downs, and what all kind of made them who they are. There are many rankers you will find who would have gotten ranks in 600, 700 ranks abhi, because just one subject screwed up for them. Otherwise, they are IAS rank material, or just a bad day on interview. मतलब आप Animesh का scorecard देखो, I don't have it right now to tell you.
Got 175 marks in interview, which is
below average for the interview this year. But his mains marks were so high that he got rank 2. Most of the people I've interacting with, interview के highest marks 215 थे अभी. And Animesh is an articulate speaker. It was just, a bad day. So he got 175. We did some math. Even if he would have gotten like 150 in interview, he would have still gotten an under 20 rank. Even if he would have gotten 125 in interview, उसकी फिर भी IAS rank आती. That is how solid उसका mains का preparation था. And because he was writing Samachar Manthan ke questions every weekend, because he was attempting, covering everything which the mentor had asked. So all that matters in this examination is consistency, discipline, and, accountability. Some of the students among us are naturally motivated. So you don't need anything. Some of the people are not. So that's where you need a mentor. He's like a friend, philosopher, guide, who's always there to give you the right direction. And Ranadheer Sir will take a very small batch of students. So he'll, and he gives full freedom. So different mentors have different personalities. He gives full freedom to choose from where you want to study. He will give you one resource and then full freedom. But you'll get, can someone mute? Arshita, can you mute your? Perfect. So that's it. Anyone else? Any last question? And then I'll close this webinar. You should feel free to ask any question, guys. Whoever has not asked, not the old ones. Any fresh face, fresh name who wants to ask any question. Shreyansh. Okay. Hi, Shreyansh.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, I am a 16-year-old aspirant, sir. I want to complete my GS in 2 years, sir. What?
No, you can't study for UPSC right now.
Don't study for
At
UPSC.
16. What books are you reading, Shreyansh? What books
sir,
are you reading?
NCERT, sir. Class 11th NCERT. I have completed 6th and 7th.
No, don't. ये पता है ये खराब हो रहा है आजकल यार. sixth, matlab, I mean, when I appeared for IIT exams, I only studied 11th and 12th में. But अब जब when I see my nephews, they're starting from class 6th. 6th onwards, तुम JEE के लिए पढ़ाई कर रहे हो. Where is your childhood and what are you reading? Shreyansh, please read good books, good novels. Do not read anything for UPSC. Don't. Nothing.
And UPSC is not IIT to prepare some 7 years, 8 years, and
Yeah,
still
UPSC
get the
is not
same
IIT.
result.
It's a subjective exam. Okay. Prachi, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
सर ये यूएपी प्रोग्राम और मेंटरशिप प्रोग्राम अलग अलग है
नहीं,
क्या?
सेम ही है. यहाँ पे मेंटरशिप प्रोग्राम को यूएपी कहते हैं, अल्टीमेट असेसमेंट प्रोग्राम. बिकॉज उसमें आपका असेसमेंट बहुत प्रैक्टिकल है वो प्रोग्राम, राइट? तो टेस्ट होंगे, बातें होंगी, फिर टारगेट्स दिए जाएंगे. इट्स द सेम प्रोग्राम. अल्टीमेट असेसमेंट प्रोग्राम इज द नेम ऑफ द मेंटरशिप प्रोग्राम. ठीक है. मणिकांता, प्लीज अनम्यूट.
Yes, sir. Sir, I am. Good evening, sir.
गुड इवनिंग.
Sir, I am second year student. I want, sir, मतलब चाहती हूँ मैं कि यूपीएससी का तैयारी करना. सर तो
परफेक्ट. अगर आप
मेंटरशिप
सेकेंड ईयर में हो, आई वुड सजेस्ट दैट ट्राई टू टॉक टू ड्रॉप अ मैसेज ऑन व्हाट्सएप एंड आई वुड सजेस्ट join the foundation program, which is mentorship program and also content. So you will get video
Sir,
content across all the subjects.
Sir, where is link?
आप जो व्हाट्सएप का लिंक है ना जूम की चैट पे, उस पे एक ड्रॉप अ हाई नोट, बोलो वहाँ पे कि मुझे ये चाहिए, मैं सेकेंड ईयर में हूँ, आई वांट अ फाउंडेशन प्रोग्राम. समवन विल कॉल फ्रॉम माय टीम एंड विल एक्सप्लेन टू यू फुली. एक आराम से आधे घंटे विल टॉक टू यू एंड विल एक्सप्लेन टू यू द फुल कॉन्सेप्ट्स ऑफ दैट. ठीक है. ठीक है. फाउंडेशन एंड यूएपी स्टूडेंट्स के लिए I also take classes around productivity, around some in-depth current affairs, etc., etc. So we give our best to foundation and UAP students, our absolute best. We call up the best rankers and we ask them a proper fundu sa webinar lo, jisme practical insights mile. So foundation and UAP program for from Civilsdaily are the most meticulously crafted program, जिसमें आपका हर वीक आपको एक फील आएगी कि मैं कुछ पढ़ रही हूँ या पढ़ रहा हूँ and मैंने कुछ प्रोग्रेस करी है. Okay. Nisha?
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
There is
Welcome.
one question student asked. My name is Sadika. Sir, how to overcome the fear of answer writing? See, this webinar is for you people only to how to overcome. That means if you are writing 20 chapters of NCERT, 18 chapters of NCERT summary without seeing the book, that means you are started writing something. And this is what your base for answer writing. Once you do this exercise, then your main answer writing becomes easy for you. There will be no more fear left for you to overcome the fear also. Okay. So at least do this exercise of 18-20 chapters of NCERTs, write summaries. Okay. And do this precise writing also for that. And then we shift to answer writing. Definitely you will have no more fear in answer writing.
Guys, मैं आपको ना, if I could, I would shown you
Good
the
evening,
answer.
sir.
Good evening.
सर मैंने पहले से भी मतलब ये यूपीएससी की तैयारी की थी. फिलहाल मैं जॉब ज्वाइन कर ली हूँ, तो 1-1.5 साल मैंने छोड़ दिया है प्रिपरेशन. तो मैं इसे वापस से रीस्टार्ट करना चाहती हूँ. तो मैं ये जानना चाहती हूँ कहाँ से स्टार्ट करूँ.
आप बात करो हमसे ना. ऐसे पर्सनल क्वेरी में अगर मैं आपको बहुत जेनेरिक आंसर दूंगा ना, वो हेल्पफुल नहीं होगा आपके लिए. आप आराम से आप पिंग करो, व्हाट्सएप का लिंक यहाँ पे पूरा लिख दो अपना ना
जी.
वहाँ पे. एंड हम जब आपसे बात करेंगे आपको ढंग से सुनेंगे, समझेंगे आपने कितना पढ़ा था, क्या नहीं पढ़ा था, एंड देन अकॉर्डिंगली आपको बताएंगे कैसे करने का है. ठीक है.
जी सर.
बिल्कुल दिल खोल के लिख देना वहाँ पे, हम आराम से पढ़ के फिर आपसे बातें करेंगे. ठीक है.
जी सर.
रणबीर.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Hi, good evening.
Sir, my query is means I am currently I am writing mains of JPSC.
Okay.
But what happens is I can't able to write, means I can able to frame sentences, but I can't able to structure them according to the demand of question, because
Okay.
So I want to know is how to overcome this structuring process of answer.
ये दिख रहा है, ये स्लाइड दिख रही है किसी को जो मैंने अभी शेयर करी है?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes,
सबको दिख रही है ना? दिस इज एन आंसर टू योर क्वेश्चन. सो ये स्लाइड है अनिमेश के फर्स्ट एवर अटेम्प्ट की.
yes, sir. I've seen this in YouTube. Yes, sir.
You've seen them, right?
Yes, sir.
This is how good or bad anyone is.
Yes, sir.
ठीक है. I honestly have no other answer to your question. मैं सच बता रहा हूँ. आप आओ, ज्वाइन करो, आप लिखना शुरू करो. You will be getting personal feedbacks. What I can assure you is there are structures and foundations जिस हिसाब से हम feedback देते हैं. ऐसे randomly नहीं बोल देते कि अरे grammar खराब है, अच्छा नहीं लिखा है.
Yes, yes, sir.
It's a proper structure. तो and I'll
Yes.
briefly tell you, but I would request you to join the program so that ढंग से आपको feel आएगी. I'll tell you what, कोई भी सवाल आता है, सबसे पहले you have to identify theme and demand.
Yes, sir.
Theme
Yes.
identify होता है कीवर्ड समझ के. Keywords एक क्वेश्चन में एक से ज़्यादा भी हो सकते हैं. Then you will have to understand primary keyword क्या है. पहला क्रैक वो होता है, प्राइमरी कीवर्ड समझ लिया, you've cracked. I'll give you the
Yes.
example. एक एथिक्स का क्वेश्चन था कि करप्शन इन अ सोसाइटी इज एन इंडिकेटर ऑफ इरोजन ऑफ द कोर वैल्यूज. ठीक है, तो अब इस क्वेश्चन में करप्शन एक कीवर्ड है और कोर वैल्यूज एक कीवर्ड है. बराबर, सिंपल सवाल ये.
Yes.
कोर
Yes.
वैल्यूज इज द प्राइमरी कीवर्ड क्योंकि ये सवाल एथिक्स के पेपर का है.
Yes.
ठीक है, अब हम कोर वैल्यूज पे आ गए. नाउ वी हैव टू मेक एन इंट्रोडक्शन. इंट्रोडक्शन में प्राइमरी कीवर्ड आना चाहिए एंड देन सेकेंडरी कीवर्ड जो कि करप्शन है उसको साथ में लेके विद एग्जांपल. अगर आप इंट्रो लिख दोगे तो आप रैंकर लेवल इंट्रो लिख रहे हो, बट आप डे वन पे वो इंट्रो नहीं लिख सकते.
Yes.
ठीक है, तो आपको सोचना है वैसे. एक करप्शन वाली तो कोर वैल्यूज बहुत होती है सोसाइटी की, राइट? ऑनेस्टी, ट्रूथफुलनेस, ट्रांसपेरेंसी, अकाउंटेबिलिटी. Some core values, if they are eroded, then corruption will come. So transparency, accountability. If they are eroded, then corruption will come. So you have to think like
Yes.
that.
Yes, sir.
Now, once you think like that and you put it into an intro and you write an intro properly, then you get highest marks for the introduction part of the question.
Sir,
Then
sir,
you
I
approach
have,
the bottom.
sir, I have one more query. That I tend to remember the intro part. I can't able to write effective intro in my answers whenever I
Yeah,
tend
there
to.
is. So you have to keep writing hundreds of introduction, and then you will be able to write an effective introduction. This is not a JEE. This is not a JEE or NEET paper. There is no concept here, which I'll tell you when you will get and you will solve all the math questions. You have to write it continuously, and then you will get better.
Sir, so I don't have to focus on memorizing part. Instead of I should focus on understanding to write introduction, right?
Both things go hand in hand, na? You have to memorize something. Otherwise, facts कहाँ से log introduction के?
Oh.
तो क्या लिख
Yes.
दोगे? कुछ भी ऐसी. करप्शन इज अ वेरी बैड थिंग.
ना
नहीं
वो
ना,
तो
अभी तो किसी ने
childish
अगर
हो जाएगा sir.
हाँ, एंड आई लेट मी जस्ट कंप्लीट दिस क्वेश्चन फॉर एवरीवन सो दैट आपको एक फील आए.
Yes,
इस
sir,
वाले
yes.
सवाल के 3 इंट्रोडक्शन है. पहला इंट्रोडक्शन, यू स्टार्ट फ्रॉम करप्शन एंड यू डिफाइन करप्शन इन योर ओन वर्ड्स एंड you'll get the lowest marks. You do that, you get the lowest marks for introduction. क्योंकि ना तो तुमने वो समझा कि प्राइमरी कीवर्ड क्या है, ना तो तुमने करप्शन की ओरिजिनल डेफिनेशन दी. You've taken way
Yes.
too much liberties. Second,
Yes, sir.
you pick up the right thing. Core values समझ लिए, अच्छा core values है main part, but you forgot to define what core values are, which if they are eroded then corruption आता है. Then you forgot to interlink corruption and core values together into intro, and you forgot to give an example. ठीक है, या आपने गलती से डेटा दे दिया कि इंडिया इज रैंकिंग 136 इन यूनिवर्सल करप्शन इंडेक्स गिवन बाय वर्ल्ड बैंक. कोई मतलब नहीं उसका. तो कोई मतलब नहीं. इट्स एन एथिक्स क्वेश्चन. आप पहले
Yes,
उस
sir.
पकड़ो. अब आप फिर बॉडी पे आते हो. बॉडी में आप डिमांड समझते हो. तो अब ये जो चीज मैंने आपको बता दी है, जो इतनी सिंपल लग रही है, ये करने में मुश्किल होती है. लेकिन
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. वही तो हम कोशिश कर रहे हैं, तो इसमें दिक्कत हो रहा है हमको.
तो आप लिखोगे जब. सो व्हेन यू जॉइन यूएपी, व्हेन यू राइट द आंसर्स एंड व्हेन यू राइट बैड आंसर्स, विल गेट ऑन योर हेड एंड बोलेंगे कि रणबीर क्या लिख रहे हो. तो आप देखोगे वीक ऑन वीक आपने सही करते जाओगे आंसर. दैट इज व्हाट अनिमेश की कॉपी इसलिए दिखाई थी मैंने.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. वो वीडियो पूरा देखे.
Answer
सर तो
writing
इस
will take time. At least
It will take time. See, the only person who loses on UPSC is one who doesn't have patience and who is not continuously disciplined. That's the guy who will lose.
सर मींस इसका प्रोसीजर क्या रहेगा सर ज्वाइन करने का?
आप चैट पे लिंक दिया हुआ है ना, आप उसे व्हाट्सएप पे मैसेज करो एंड देन वील कॉल यू बैक. ठीक है, आराम से बात करेंगे ना, तो आराम से आपसे बैठ के समझ के. ठीक है. Okay guys, I think this is a 1.5 hour long webinar. Thank you for staying together. कुछ भी सवाल हो, the WhatsApp link is already given on the chat. and we'll answer all your queries. Kaisa bhi sawal ho, do not shy away from asking. The reason why we do such in-depth webinar is to just tell you that no question is stupid, and we've all gone through the basics one way or the other. And that is the reason why we take so much pain in giving you question का रेफरेंस क्या है, शुरू में क्या आंसर लिखोगे, बीच में क्या आंसर लिखोगे, और जब रैंकर की तरफ बढ़ोगे तो क्या आंसर लिखोगे, so that you get the whole arc of your growth. Okay, thank you for coming here. I wish you good night. Sleep well, drop in your message, and we'll get back to you tomorrow from Monday onwards. Okay?
All the best, everyone.
All the best. Take care, everyone. Have a great evening.